All right. Hey, Joe fans. This is JoeFan82 here with another live stream. And it looks like everything is working correctly. And it doesn't look like anybody's watching now, but if you jump on, just let me know in the chat. I've got a little thing I'm going to test out to see if we can see the live chat going here during the stream. So before I get to tonight's topic, there are two things I want to go over. The first is my friends at G.I. Joeberg have a GoFundMe account set up. If you're not familiar with G.I. Joeberg, they have a podcast and a YouTube channel where they review G.I. Joe. They are from South Africa, a group of guys, and they really want to attend this year's Joecon, the last official G.I. Joe convention. So they have a GoFundMe set up where you can help fund their trip over here to the United States. And they have some rewards set up for that. So I'm going to put a link for that in the description sometime later. It's not there now, but check back later and I have the link for that if you're interested in helping them come over here. The second item is just a quick plug for my Patreon. I have a Patreon set up where you can help me with this channel financially for as little as $1 a month. You can head to patreon.com/JoeFan82 to get more info on that. I'll also add that link in the description as well. So tonight's topic is hold on one second, guys, hey, Skunk Ape is here. All right, Skunk Ape, hold on one second. I want to test something out here. Hold on one second. All right. So let me know. You should see yourself in the live chat on this live stream. So I'm seeing it here from my end. Let me know if you're seeing it. Chime in if you're on the chat. Looks like we have somebody else there. So there's a little delay. I'll give you a second to type something in. All right, good. It's working. Wow, technology, huh? This kind of thing would have been impossible just a few years ago. All right, so that's the chat, but we're not going to be seeing too much of that tonight because I'm going to be showing you, going over the images for the G.I. Joe Con exclusive figures. So the theme for this year is Slaughter's Marauders versus Python Patrol. I'm a fan of Slaughter's Marauders and Python Patrol. There's a lot of people that are not. I don't know what the percentage is. I don't know if it's 50-50, 30-70. I don't know. Hold on, guys. So I have that chat set up, but I got to look at a separate window because it's too small for me to read there. So hold on a second here. The delay is 30 seconds. Okay, thanks for telling me, Skunk Ape. Man, I wish there wasn't such a huge delay like that. I am Sizzy7. Hello, I love your channel. Oh, thank you. Thanks for watching. All right, so let me know. Do you guys like Python Patrol and Slaughter's Marauders? Do you guys like these sub-teams that Hasbro set up back in the day? I loved it. Like Tiger Force. Tiger Force enabled people to get figures and vehicles that they missed out on originally. So if you entered G.I. Joe in whatever year Tiger Force started, you pretty much didn't have access to anything before that. So like I had the Tiger Paw, and yeah, so I love that. Slaughter's Marauders was a repaint of some other figures, created a new sub-team under Sergeant Slaughter. And I've got my trusty G.I. Joe Identification and Price Guide, Volume 2 by Mark Bellomo. I highly recommend this book for your vintage G.I. Joe reference needs. And in 1989, we've got the introduction of Slaughter's Marauders. There's the Sarge right there. And the theme, the colors were blue, brown, and green. And personally, I thought they looked great. Let me check the chat here. Skunk Ape says, I like Python Patrol, but Slaughter's Marauders was too lazy with its color scheme. And I wish Python Patrol had more consistent colors across the line. They just had a consistent pattern. I'm Sizzy7. I like them. I love all G.I. Joes and their incarnations. Okay. See, to each his own. That's fine. You know, some people like it, some people don't. And what I don't like is how some fans just hate on people that like something that they don't. You know, if you don't like Slaughter's Marauders, that's okay. If you don't like Python Patrol, that's fine. We each have our own preferences and what we like and what we don't like. Yeah, Python Patrol. So what we'll see tonight is that even in the modern line, it's a little, these new figures are not consistent with what we've seen before. So let me go ahead and bring up, and Skunk Ape says, oh, I owned them all back then. See, somehow I missed out. So Slaughter's Marauders started in 89, which is the year I entered G.I. Joe, but I never had any of them. For some reason, I just missed out on them. And Python Patrol, I don't think I had any. I didn't have any of those either. So let's get to the first figure reveal. Oh, hold on, guys. All right. You're going to have to bear with me. I'm a one-man show here, so, and I've got one screen. Some guys have, this will be much easier with two monitors. I don't have two monitors set up. All right, so let's go to the first image here, and this is Footloose. And he was in the original Slaughter's Marauders. He is basically, he's a repaint of the figure that the club released. This was the figure exclusive. He wasn't in the FSS, but he was a figure exclusive for the year that he came out. I don't remember what year it was, but this is basically a repaint of him. I think he looks good. Yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know. Let us all know in the chat. Skunk Ape says, the best idea for Python Patrol was adding Copperhead, but his colors should have been darker. You know, I saw on Facebook, was it today or yesterday, Hooded Cobra Commander 788 had an image up of it, and it's of Python Patrol Copperhead, and it's a little bit, I don't know, weird. You know, you already have a snake-themed figure, but then to add another layer of theme on top of it, it was a little weird. So there's Footloose. I think he looks good. Next one is Hardball. This guy has been a fan favorite, a requested figure for a long time. I personally love Hardball. He was one of my favorite vintage figures, one of my kind of a core group that I used. Hold on, guys. 1 second. I just noticed that my power cord for my computer was not plugged in. I'm using a laptop, and so it could have died on me. All right. Yeah, so Hardball was one of my favorite figures growing up. So it's great to see him in this. I wish that he was more available than just being in this exclusive set. I'm wondering how well that hat is going to fit on his head. One of the things that I question about helmets and hats is how they fit. If it's too loose, I would and it just falls off, I would prefer to have it just molded on instead of having something falling off. Like some of the modern figures have those goggles. Have some of those goggles that fit over their helmet, but then when you try to put the goggles over their face, it's way too big. So what's the point? Just mold it onto the helmet, you know? So this Hardball, he's got his trademark weapon there. and he's got green pants, the bright green towards the middle, and then brown on the bottom. I think he's looking good. The other thing with these images is you can get an idea, but you don't really know until you have the figure in hand. For example, when I reviewed FSS 5 Salvo, that figure looked awesome, from the reveal, the preview image, but in hand, the figure couldn't stand up. He can't stand up on his own 2 feet without assistance. So sometimes you just don't know until you get the figure in hand. Okay, so that's Hardball. Let me go over to the chat here, see what I'm missing. All right, woo. Nathan Abbott looks good. Oh yeah. Skunk Ape Footloose seems to have a great sculpt, but the segmented layers are strange to me. I like the colors, but I wish they were a camo pattern. That's just me. Yeah, he had, his other figure had that traditional camo pattern, and I guess they just didn't want to bother with doing the whole camo pattern for this exclusive set. I really want to be positive. Me too. I love the gun and the face sculpt, but this looks like 2 halves stitched together at the waist. Are you talking about Hardball there? Yeah, he kind of, it is what it is. Maybe if the shirt had been green instead of white. I have a feeling we're going to see this Hardball figure again in FSS 8. That's just my opinion. All right, so Hardball. Let's go to Mutt. Mutt and Junkyard. So he's got his blue vest, and I'm looking at the picture of the vintage figure, and his coloring matches up pretty close with the vintage design, really close actually. Blue vest, dark green pants with that sort of bright neon green stripe through the middle. So that's what looks like they're going for, just a reflection of the vintage figures, and I believe that's a new Junkyard. I don't think we've seen that mold for Junkyard before, at least in the modern incarnations. Red Vitamin Blue says if Hardball had a belt, it would probably make the torso waist look more natural. Yeah, you're probably right, and that's something that you might be able to just fix yourself, with other Hasbro parts or with maybe Marauders parts. Skunk Ape. Okay, this is the best looking one so far. Mutt. Yeah, he's looking pretty good. The blue is a little too bright, but it's not bad. Junkyard is cute. Yeah, he's. It's kind of hard to tell if he's if his mouth is open. It's hard to tell if he's angry or if he's begging for some food. All right, so that's Mutt. Next, we have the Python Patrol Heat Viper. So this Python Patrol color scheme I'm liking personally. I think it looks really nice. It's got like gold and a dark red or maroon with the lighter hash marks through it. I like the figure this is a repaint of. I like that as well, even though the one I had some paint issues. This looks really nice. Hold on 1 second. Let me get, where is it? Hold on, guys. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, so you'll see the color scheme on this Python Patrol. And here is a Python Patrol Crimson Guard from the 25th anniversary. And you can see there's really, aside from the checkered pattern, there is not too much similarities going on. So I actually prefer this new color scheme over this, but it would have been nice if there was a little more consistency. So when you have this guy standing next to this Heat Viper, it's not going to really match up too well, you know? So that's maybe one knock against it. And Skunk Ape says, "Oh my God, this is totally crazy, but I love it. That shirt looks like he should be in an 80s techno dance club." Yeah, you're probably right about that. Yeah, I think he's looking pretty good myself. So next up we have the Lamprey, Python Patrol Lamprey. So everything in the Paw Patrol. My son is into Paw Patrol. So that was a slip of the tongue. This is not Paw Patrol. This is Python Patrol. Maybe if there was another convention next year, it would be Paw Patrol. So he's got, if you thought the last one was a little ridiculous, this one is probably even more so, with the more of the gold color, more of that checkered snakeskin type pattern. I personally like it. I think I would have preferred if the flippers, maybe the boots and the flippers, were black. Those look a little silly being gold, but hey, that's just me. Sonic 360 says that Heat Viper doesn't look too bad. I agree. I think it looks pretty good. Skunk Ape, the Heat Viper and Lamprey were not in the original Python Patrol, but both make plenty of sense. You're right. So they're adding figures to both sub teams that were not in the original lineups. So there was a box set released years ago for Slaughter's Marauders that had a bunch of figures in it. And Python Patrol has had some releases like this one that I showed you and a couple others. But they're adding things to it, which I personally like. I think it's great. Cobra Lang says, these guys are awesome. Skunk Ape says, I think if they could have used a green instead of gold, I like that. So yeah, so that was Lamprey. And let's go to this one is the Laser Viper. This was a convention exclusive. The original, this is a repaint. The original was a convention exclusive last year, and it did not have that backpack. The backpack you're seeing in this picture was the same style of backpack that the original Laser Viper had from the vintage line, with the two lasers on either side of his head. And for some reason that didn't come with that exclusive figure last year, but they've rectified that this year, and the helmet looks a little big. From what I remember of the reviews of last year's figure, the helmet is pretty loose. So this is probably my least favorite of the exclusives. Still like that color scheme, but this figure is not as good as the last two we looked at. And let's go back to the chat, because I'm really proud of myself for getting this thing to work. I couldn't figure it out for a while, but I think it's kind of cool that we were able to see each other, and people that are watching this on demand can see what you guys are saying, which is cool. So Skunk Ape says, Slaughter's Marauders should have all the Marines, gung-ho, leatherneck, mainframe. Joe Motion Videos 82 says, just signed on. What's being released this year? So these are the Joe Motion joined us a little late. These are the convention exclusives for this year's Joecon, and the theme is Slaughter's Marauders versus Python Patrol. So you can check. This video will be posted after the live stream's done. You can see the images for the other figures I've already looked at. But yeah, that's what I'm just going over tonight. I don't think anybody knows what the other exclusives are. So there's 9 figures that they've revealed, and then there are a couple that are surprises that you find out once you get to the convention. Skunk Ape says, I wish they toned down the Laser Viper's helmet just because it looks so tall, but I like the colors and design. Yeah, the helmet is too big. I think it's a little too big. It's a little loose on his head. You can turn the helmet and the head doesn't move. Cobra Link, still awesome colors. Yeah, I really like this color scheme. It's a shame that we're only going to get it in these figures, and we probably won't ever see it again. Sorry if I mess up your name here. Raymond Barrientos Jr. I'm really digging these figures. As long as they can hold their weapons properly, we're all good. Well, at least for the Heat Viper, he holds his weapons pretty good. I have the that 50th anniversary figure, and he holds it pretty well. All right, so that was the Laser Viper. This one, I really like this guy, Major Blood. So Major Blood has not had, hold on guys, let me see if I can look this up real quick. I have the 25th anniversary Major Blood figure, and I like him. I'm a Major Blood fan. Let me know if you're a Major Blood fan, guys. I think he is a highly underused character in all the media. Hold on, I'm just looking up the versions for this guy. So the last version of Major Blood, last modern version of Major Blood, was released 10 years ago in 2008. That's the last time that we've seen a new Major Blood figure. And I've been saying for a while, when are we going to see another one? And finally it happens, but it's in the convention exclusive, which a lot of people are never going to have access to, unfortunately, because it can be really pricey initially, and then the aftermarket prices can get pretty crazy sometimes. So I'm really liking this figure. This one is based on, I believe, version 4 from 2000, I think, which that looks like a repaint of version 2. I had version 2 as a kid. It's the one with the blue uniform with the silver grenades all over. But I have a pretty strong feeling that we're going to be seeing this figure again in FSS 8, but in that version 2 color scheme. And this guy has a completely new head sculpt. He's got the mustache, but his mustache is a bit smaller than the 25th anniversary. Hold on, let me get it and I'll show you. So this is the 25th anniversary version, and you can see that his mustache comes down quite a bit on the sides, while the new head sculpt looks like it pretty much stays like a normal mustache. This one's a little bit more, it's kind of a sinister villain mustache. And the arm on the 25th anniversary did not bend at the elbow. There's no articulation here. And it looks like they use the same thing for this new exclusive figure, which I'm not a fan of. I wish that this was articulated. I know why they did it. It was an homage to the vintage figure, which also didn't have articulation here. But come on, guys, this is, it's a robotic arm. I mean, so, I'm hoping I could be wrong. Now, the gun that he's holding there, if you see in his right hand, the pistol, that looks like the same exact weapon here. It's just that this part on top, this can come apart. This little piece can come off. Hold on here. And it looks like this piece on the new figure is like a yellow or gold color, but it's pretty much the same little funky laser pistol. So I am a Blood fan. Let's go to the chat and see what you guys think about this. I think I've missed some here. Hold on. Skunk Ape. I love it, but that's so many grenades. Yeah, that's even as a kid, I was like, man, that's a lot of grenades. I hope somebody doesn't shoot one of those grenades on it that he's got all over him. Joe Motion. Love Major Blood. Finally, Major Blood is getting some love. Skunk Ape says, Major Blood was my first G.I. Joe figure. Wow. The vintage one? Version 1? Or one of the later versions? Raymond, wonderful last name pronunciation. Thank you, good sir. You're welcome. I try my best. Skunk Ape, and my fiance says she's a Major Dad fan. Major Dad, the one with the sitcom with Gerald McRaney? If that's what you're talking about, me too. I love that show. Sonic 360. Major Blood is looking good too. Yes, I agree. I think he's looking pretty good. Joefan82, are you going to the convention? Probably. All signs point to no. Unfortunately, things right now financially aren't going the way they should for me to go. My family's probably going to end up moving to a new house around that time. I'm in the midst of looking for a new job. Things just aren't lining up real well for me to be able to attend. Unfortunately, it's the last one, but it's just the stars are not aligning for me to go. So I'm relying on others that are going to keep me in the loop on what's going on there. I think it's based. Skunk Ape says he thinks this Major Blood is based on version 3. Version 3. Let me see. Version 3. Maybe. I don't know if I agree with that, but you might be right. Skunk Ape says, I prefer the longer mustache, more iconic. I agree. I prefer the longer, more sinister looking facial hair. Joe Motion says, he looks like Python Patrol mixed with Iron Grenadier. Yeah, that's probably a pretty good description of him. It would be awesome to see Road Pig in Python Patrol fashion. It would be awesome to see as many figures as they could in Python Patrol. I would not be against that one bit. How many fingers does the robot arm have? Hold on. Now that you mention it, I never looked at it that closely before Skunk Ape. That's a good question. It looks like he has 3. Let me see if I can bring this up here. I don't know if you guys can see that because I think it's focusing on me, but so it looks like he has 3 fingers on that hand. I never noticed that before. I had planned on doing a review of this guy at some point, and then I hope I would have noticed. But wow, yeah, 3 fingers. Did the vintage have 3 fingers? I had version 2, and I'm pretty sure he had 5 fingers on both hands. Will you be going to the convention and getting these? No, like I said, I won't be going, so I'm hoping I can get at least a few of these after the fact. Noah Blackmer, keep up the good work. Thank you. I really appreciate that, Noah. Thanks for your support. Yeah, I only got vintage figures. Sold them all a few years ago. The original figure had 3 fingers. All right, see, we're learning. That's what we're doing here. I never knew that. So now I know. And knowing is a portion of the battle. I'll keep you and your family in thoughts. All right, thank you, Raymond. I appreciate that. Yeah, 3 fingers on the original. I wonder why they did that. Does anybody know why they gave him 3 fingers? Maybe it was just the sculptor said, hey, what the heck? Let's do 3 fingers. Okay, so Major Blood. That's a win in my book. do one quick last look at him. Yeah. So I forgot to mention on the convention website and on the Facebook page for the G.I. Joe convention, they also have the reverse angle for these figures. You can see the backs. I didn't think I needed that for this live stream, but if you're interested, you can check those out. You can see the back of the figure. Next, we're going back to Slaughter's Marauders with Spirit. This guy has a... he was in the original Slaughter's Marauders, and I'm looking at his figure here. If you're joining me a little late, I'm using the Ultimate Guide by Mark Bellomo, version 2. Highly recommend it. But it's got all your images here. So this is a great resource in addition to yojo.com. Yeah, again, with this figure, like we saw with Mutt, the color scheme or color pattern that they have on his uniform is spot on. They've got all those, the brown, the green, the blue, in the exact places that they were on the vintage figures. So nice going there. I love Freedom with his wings out. That's looking good. And this figure has a completely new head sculpt, which I was pleasantly surprised that they didn't use the same Spirit head sculpt that we've seen for the last few years since Pursuit of Cobra, which that is a great head sculpt, but it's been used a few times already. So it was nice to see this. I'll be interested to know if there's a Spirit figure in FSS 8, because you think this is the last convention. They want to get most of their money's worth out of this stuff, that there might be a Spirit figure coming then. That's also another reason that we're seeing Python Patrol versus Slaughter's Marauders. These are mostly all just repaints. There's not a lot of new tooling going on here, so it's not as much expense as doing something else, new figures or something like that. But still not as cheap as last year's convention set where they had a dozen Bat figures, the same exact figure, but that's a whole nother discussion. So I think this Spirit looks pretty good. This one, I don't know if the head might be a little too big. I don't know. It's hard to tell from this image. This is another one that we'll have to wait until we get it in hand to see. Let's go back to the chat, see what you guys are saying here. Joe Motion says, let's get a pool started to send Joe Fan to Joecon. That would be nice, but you guys probably have whatever money you would send to me. Why don't you just send that to G.I. Joeberg, their GoFundMe. I said at the top of this video, I'm going to put a link in the description so you can help them. At least here I have some local G.I. Joe specific shows that I can go to. I actually have a video on my channel from this past year. I went to one, so it's not like I can't make it to a show. These guys over in South Africa, it's pretty dry over there for G.I. Joe stuff. So if you have any money to send somebody to Joecon, I would recommend doing it for those guys. Skunk Ape says his arm was more of a prosthetic claw, talking about Major Blood. Yeah, I think you're right. Kylo Ren fan, what's up, man? Hey, Kylo Ren, how's it going? Skunk Ape, Spirit looks really, really young in this photo. Yeah, it's hard to tell. For some reason, on some of these, like they use this angle that was kind of up high, so. Yeah, I always thought of Spirit as older than most of the other Joes. Noah Blackmer, going to share your channel with my friends so they can sub. Wow, Noah, thanks. I really appreciate that. Every little bit helps. Joe Motion, Bugger Me Blind. That is a great figure. I have to say that I've never heard that expression before, Bugger Me Blind. So I don't know where that comes from, but I like it. I'm going to use it. Bugger Me Blind. Raymond Barrientos Jr. Gosh, I miss those days when these figures came out. I always reenacted the movie Predator. Yeah, it's a shame we didn't get 3 3/4 inch or 1/18 scale Predator figures when that movie came out, right? Those would have fit in really well with G.I. Joe, wouldn't they? Skunk Ape, is the rumor true that the Sergeant Slaughter figure will come with an extra paunch accessory you can attach to his face for realistic gut action? I'll get to Sergeant Slaughter in a second. Hold that thought. Plastic Junkies, Major Blood, awesome, love the look. I agree, I think he looks really good. Sonic 360, I'm not sure about the new head on Spirit, but otherwise it looks pretty good. Kylo Ren fan, I wish they would make a hooded Cobra Commander with his trench coat on. Now, they did make a Cobra Commander, was it last year or the year before, that was a G.I. Joe / Transformers crossover set, and the figure was based on his appearance in the Transformers episode where it took place in the future, and there was a character named Old Snake. He wasn't called Cobra Commander, he was called Old Snake, but he had the face mask on. He wasn't hooded. He had the face mask, and he had a trench coat and a hat, and they made a figure of that. I don't have that figure yet, but that's probably as close as we're gonna get. I wonder if you could maybe take that head off and put the hooded one on. I don't know. That's something to look into. Joe Motion says no G.I. Joe specific shows in Arizona. Oh, sorry, man. Yeah, the ones that are near me are the one that I went to was pretty small. I mean, as far as the amount of space it took over, it wasn't nearly as big as Joecon, but they had a lot of G.I. Joe stuff. You should check out that video I did. I have a lot of footage of what they had there. Skunk Ape says, when will we get a modern take on Lobotomax? Probably never. I think there are enough people that never wanted the vintage version, so we're probably not going to get a modern one. Yeah, and Chris Latta voiced Old Snake. Yeah, he did. So that episode really cemented the fact that G.I. Joe and Transformers, at least in the animated universe, were in the same universe. And he also they showed part of his hand was kind of scaly, like he was after the events in G.I. Joe the movie. So, yeah. Alright, so Spirit now. This is the last figure reveal, and probably the most controversial. And this is Sergeant Smasher. That's right, Sergeant Smasher, not Sergeant Slaughter. This is a completely new character that they created for this set. And personally, I think he looks good. And he is not Sergeant Slaughter. A lot of people are upset that there is no Sergeant Slaughter in the set. And the club has said that they did their best to get the rights to use his likeness, but it just didn't work out. So they created a new character, new figure, and he looks similar to Sergeant Slaughter. He's a sergeant. It looks like a drill sergeant. He's got the same Slaughters, Marauders look going on. The head looks like it might be a little bit, maybe not the right size for the body. Let me show you this. There's a close-up of the head sculpt. I mean, it looks like it might need a little more neck than they gave it. It's a little kind of hunched there. Other than that, I think it's looking good. I think the head sculpt is great. He's got a mohawk. I think that's fine. This is based on the Mr. C character that was in one of the Sunbow episodes, and so that's where they took this from. I said this was an original character created by the club. It was based on the Mr. C character from the Sunbow episode. So he's got the mohawk. I've seen some comments say they hate the mohawk. It's not military. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's fine. You can have that opinion. You can always put the hat on and you won't see it. That's an option. Or you can scrape it off with a knife. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. It would have been cool if they had an alternate head without the mohawk, but that's probably outside the budget. I think he's looking pretty good. It's always great to get new characters. We probably never would have gotten a Mr. C figure otherwise, an obscure character, you know. So yeah, a lot of people are disappointed we're not getting Sergeant Slaughter, but I understand why we're not. And you can always make a custom Sergeant Slaughter. There's a set out there on eBay of the head and some accessories that you can add to one of the Roadblock figures from G.I. Joe Retaliation, and it makes a pretty good custom Sergeant Slaughter. I'm planning on doing that myself at some point because they had an official Sergeant Slaughter figure that was I believe it was an SDCC exclusive several years ago, and the prices on that are outrageous, really high. So yeah, let's go back to the chat to see what you guys think about this one. All right, hold on, give me a second to go back. All right. Skunk Ape says Sergeant Smasher from that episode where Cobra took. Yeah. So that was Mr. C. Raymond says Smasher looks awesome. I agree. I think he looks pretty good. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, his name in the show was Mr. C, but he was basically a Mr. T ripoff. No, you're right about that. Sorry for the delay, guys. Like, you type something, but I'm not seeing it for like 30 seconds later, so just forgive me if I'm a little behind. Joe Motion says, freak me with a gold broomstick. That is one ugly take on the Sarge. You know, that's... Some people are thinking that this is actually... that the club thinks this is Sergeant Slaughter, but it's not. It's Sergeant Smasher, a completely different person, different character. Kylo Ren fan says, do you have the G.I. Joe FSS Billy, aka Cobra Commander's son, and FSS Captain Skids, the British G.I. Joe? No, I do not. I wasn't able to. I have all of the FSS 5 figures, but I don't have any after that. Randy Rutledge, Hardball, nice. Yeah, I agree. I think Hardball's looking pretty good. Joe Motion says, never mess with a classic. Randy Rutledge, that gun straight from a batting cage. Yeah, I think you're right. You might be right. Skunk Ape says, in India, Sergeant Slaughter was named Sergeant Smasher. That's interesting. Yeah, they renamed a lot of figures in the other markets. I'm not sure why. I know he was renamed in the UK. It might have been Smasher too in the UK. Kylo Ren fan. I didn't realize the Sergeant Smasher had a mohawk till now. I think it's cool. Yeah, I think it looks fine. And if you don't like it, just put the hat on, you know? Raymond says, Mr. C, was that a reference to Mr. T back in the day? Yeah. It was pretty much just a ripoff of Mr. T. He looks just like him, except maybe without the goatee. Skunk Ape. Smasher was in the 1985 episode The Wrong Stuff, and he was a parody of Mr. T. Yep. Hooded Cobra Commander 788. I'm here. What did I miss? You missed the whole thing, HCC. You missed the whole thing. That was, I just did my last figure reveal. So if you're just joining now, you're going to want to go back and watch from the beginning to see all of the figure reveals. So those... hold on guys 1 second while I'm going to say it again. I'm a one-man show here, so I'm kind of doing this all by myself. Other people have teams of people providing support. Just me here. I'm trying to look up because so the Python Patrol figures I thought they said somewhere that there's going to be multiples. So like the Laser Viper, the different Python Patrol army builders. I think there's going to be multiples, maybe 2 or 3. I'm not sure. I don't see it, but I think so. I could be wrong. So this is a 15 figure set, and there are 9 figure reveals. So you can do the math and figure out which ones, how many duplicates there are going to be of each of these army builders. Let's go back to the, hold on guys, I lost my thing here. All right, back to the chat. HCC says, my internet has been hinky tonight, couldn't get on. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, my internet, I'm always a little worried if this live stream is going to work, because sometimes my internet is not good at all. Kylo Ren fan, Hasbro needs to make a limo for Cobra Commander with Cobra flags on the front like the presidential limo. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. Skunk Ape, HCC, I know you... Alright, you guys can have discussions amongst yourselves. That's fine. I'm just here, just watching. HCC says, will you be trying to get any of the con exclusive figures? I hope to get them at some point. I'm not going to the convention, so I won't get them there. You can order them. If you're not going, you can order something called the, I think it's called Homefront Heroes set, and they deliver it to you. It's the same price as if you're going to the convention. I didn't order that. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention is these are all sold out. All of these exclusive, the 3 3/4 inch exclusives are sold out, and there's a waiting list. And they said there's no guarantee that if you're on the waiting list that you're actually going to get a set. So I'm predicting that the prices on these, the aftermarket prices, are going to be on the higher end. Because this is the last convention, and there's a high demand. So Raymond, I'm gonna get some sleep, keep up the amazing videos. All right, thanks Raymond, I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. All right. Hold on. Let me see here. Yeah, I agree, HCC. I think it's going to be pretty high, unfortunately, because I think these look really good. My prediction for the there's going to be probably a few figures that are exclusive to the convention that aren't in these preview images, that aren't in the official box set. And I think that Lowlight's going to be one, because that's an easy repaint for them. Just take the existing mold and repaint it. Were there any other... Copperhead. They might do Copperhead. That would be an easy repaint. Televiper, do comic where he was an adult grown up. He had an eye patch. I don't have that figure, but there was a vote. They did a vote or a poll or a vote. You could vote on which version of Billy you wanted to see, and that was the one that won. I would have liked to have seen him in the ninja suit myself, the white. But hey, Joefin82, which of these exclusives looks best and worst to you? The best. Let me go back here. the best is, I'll do one of each. For Python, for Marauders, I'm going to say the best is Mutt. I think he looks pretty good. And for Python Patrol, I'm going to say Major Blood. I think those are the two best. The worst, I'm probably going to say Lamprey. Lamprey's kind of eh. And Laser Viper. Maybe Laser Viper the worst, and then Lamprey. Laser Viper, the helmet is too big, and I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. That's my personal opinion. You guys could have something different, and that's okay. It's okay to have different opinions. Skunk Ape says, I'd say Heat Viper looks best, Hardball looks worst. See? I think Heat Viper looks pretty good, too. Kylo Ren fan, do you have the SDCC exclusive Cobra Commander with a suit on? I know which one you're talking about, and no, I don't. I do not have that. Yeah, it is. That one can be pretty expensive, especially because it was an exclusive. Kylo Ren fan says, I liked all the exclusives, but Major Blood, he looks like a walking checkerboard. Yeah, I think I say the same thing about this Laser Viper and the Lamprey. I think there's too much. Major Blood is a little bit more broken up. I think if they had it, maybe if the snakeskin design was a little more subdued, for some people it might look better. I think it looks fine the way it is, but to each his own. All right, so that was pretty much everything I had to talk about tonight. And I'm getting towards the end of my glass of water here. I'm getting a little parched. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm gonna hope to do some more of these. These live streams are a little bit easier for me to do, just to kind of throw together than a full review, because there's no editing. I just set it up and go. I do have to, if I'm showing images, I have to set those up beforehand, but it's a lot less time overall than a full review. So just to recap, the convention exclusives are Python Patrol and Marauders. I think they look good for the most part. The book I was using tonight for reference was The Ultimate Guide to G.I. Joe by Mark Bellomo, 2nd edition. Highly recommend this if you need to reference some vintage figures. This is a great tool in addition to yojo.com, but there's a lot of great images in here covering the entire vintage line. So you can find that on Amazon. And I think that's gonna be it for tonight. Let's just check the chat one more time before I sign off for tonight. Skunk Ape says, which of these 9 figures are most in love with one another? That's a good question. I would say that's a good question. I don't really know how to answer that one. Skunk Ape. I would say the Lamprey and the Laser Viper. They look the most similar, so I think they would probably have some feelings for one another. Oh yeah, you same thing. Sorry, I just read your comment. So, Kylo Ren fan says, "Is there any exclusive vehicles for Joecon?" No vehicles this year, just figures. So it wasn't in the budget to do vehicles. The last Joecon, they don't want to have a bunch of unsold vehicles lying around. So that stinks. It would have been nice to get to see some Python patrol-ized vehicles. HCC, yeah, no vehicles this year. Thanks, HCC. I appreciate it. I'm going to try to give a little bit more advanced warning when I do these live streams, but right now it's kind of just when I have the time, I do it. So, Skunk Ape, I read your comment, but I'm not really sure how to respond to it, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Sonic 360. Any more video collaborations between you and HCC 788? I can neither confirm nor deny any future collaborations. You just have to wait and see. Be sure you're subscribed to both of our channels so you won't miss it if it happens, if and when it happens. Great live stream, man. Look forward to your future Joe reviews. Thanks, Kylo Ren. Appreciate you tuning in. Randy Rutledge. Major Blood was sculpted after Tom Selleck. Tom Selleck. I'm a Tom Selleck fan. I still haven't seen Blue Bloods. I've not seen one episode of Blue Bloods. So, was it like 10 seasons now? I don't know. I'll have to catch it at some point. I don't know who Tom Savini is, so I can't comment on that. I'll look it up, though. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. I really appreciate you tuning in. I hope all of you have a great evening. And I will see you next time. Have a good night, everybody.